Welcome to Dear Tay, You Got This. This podcast is a weekly motivational love letter to those who are looking for a change, are currently going through a change, and they need just a little pick-me-up. Tay is a transformation and spiritual coach and author who understands that one small habit over 1 year can create a lifetime of growth. First, we will talk about our topic, and at the end of each episode, I will do a trinity. The trinity is a brag, gratitude, and desire. If you'd like to share your wins, questions, and trinity, please call or text 330-552-7234 to be featured on the podcast. I love hearing about your success and how you are transforming. To learn more about your host, visit her Instagram page, Phoenix of Change. In 2022, I decided that I wanted to be more consistent in my business. And one of the ways that I thought to do that was to grow my TikTok following. Now, at the time, I was making videos, but I didn't feel like they were reaching the audience that I was looking for. So what did I do? I needed to have a catch. So my catch was doing sock videos. And basically what that means is I got on TikTok every morning. I uploaded a video saying, hey, these are my socks for the day, my motivational speech, and then showed everyone my socks. Surprisingly enough, I ended up having over 230 plus pair of socks. And trust me, the collection is still extensive. Now, the 230 pairs grows every single day, every single week, every single month. But I can tell you that one of the places that I ended up getting socks from was Chakra Wonders. When I went on their website, not only did I see that they had socks, but I also saw that they had artwork, mugs, hats, and even some books. It is such a great place to go to, especially if you're looking for something that is going to... What I love about Chakra Wonders is that it's an organization that provides products and accessories to those interested in astrology, metaphysics, and self-healing practices. Their mission is to build a resort-style facility structured around modern and advanced holistic and naturopathic therapies for physical and spiritual healing. When you make a purchase, you are helping them build a holistic sanctuary for wellness and renewal. Go to chakrawonders.com and use coupon code DEARTAY to receive 15% off your purchase. That is chakrawonders.com. Chakra Wonders is an organization that provides products and accessories to those interested in astrology, metaphysics, and self-healing practices. Their mission is to build a resort-style facility structured around modern and advanced holistic and naturopathic therapies for physical and spiritual healing. When you make a purchase, you are helping them build a holistic sanctuary for wellness and renewal. Go to chakrawonders.com and use coupon code DEARTAY to receive 15% off your purchase. That's CHAKRAWONDERS.com. Hey everybody, welcome to Dear Tay, You Got This. I am super excited to introduce my guest, Dexter Morton. He is a holistic and spiritual entrepreneur with multiple businesses, each dedicated to helping others through self-discovery and mental enrichment. Dexter began his career as a soldier, where he served in the U.S. Army as a medical technologist. Yeah, that's right. Over the past 20 years, Dexter has read and studied various aspects of spirituality, theology, metaphysics, science, and much more. Dexter plans to use this accumulated knowledge to build a holistic and naturopathic resort dedicated to helping others heal their minds, bodies, and spirits. I'm super excited to have him on my show because the way that I met him was through TikTok, and the way that he reached out to me because I was doing sock videos was so amazing. He gifted me a pair of socks, and I was like, "Oh, that's so awesome!" And then there was like some weirdness with the code, and I wanted to get a second pair, and they ended up being free as well. And I was like, "Oh, wait, I really want to pay you for these." And he was like, "No, no, go ahead, take two pair." And I was like, "That is so awesome!" So it's so nice to be able to meet somebody and share this podcast with somebody who really shares those humble values and really understands what it is to really just be a human, being decent, being nice. And I'm so excited to have you on the show, Dexter. Thank you so much for being here.
Also, thank you, Tay, for having me, and I hope you love the socks.
Oh my gosh. First of all, they are super comfy, they're super bright. And of course, because this is, I'm talking about transformation and spirituality, they are chakra socks. So I'm just like, so no, they were definitely wonderful. I truly, truly appreciate it. But over time, I've had a chance to really get to know you and really get to talk to you. So I really want to just talk to you about how you went from a medical technologist to your research and growth in the spiritual realm.
Yeah, for sure. Ooh, that's a loaded story. Honestly,
Look, we got time. We got time.
right. Well, honestly, I've always been interested in metaphysics, science, spirituality ever since I was a kid. So, when I was younger and up until this day, I've always had what I call full sensory detailed dreams.
Okay.
So it's lucid dreaming, but all my senses work. I can smell, taste, feel, hear, read. People say you can't read in dreams, I can read, you know? And
I'm jealous. Look, I'm like,
it's crazy. And I thought that everybody could do this. I thought everybody had this particular, I want to say ability. It was just natural for me.
hmm
So as a kid, I would research these things, and I was always curious about life, where life began. I've always had a scientific mind, you know, and it didn't really sit very well with me when we were taking biology back in grade school,
hmm
and they start talking about some missing link in humans, and then like junk DNA, and we don't know how we made the jump from basically ape to man. There's like a weird jump there. I'm like, what is all this?
hmm
Like, what's going on here? So that doesn't make sense.
hmm
So I started doing some research on it, and I started diving really deeply into what the different creation stories were across different theologies and different religious ideologies and backgrounds. But I
hmm
also started diving very deeply into um, more spiritual aspects, such as like Taoism and Buddhism. And I just wanted to know where all these ideas come from, And I started getting really curious about some of the ancient philosophers.
hmm
And over the past couple of years, actually, I kind of got fed up with this whole idea and conversation where people are like, oh, these ancient texts and ancient philosophers. I'm like, who are these people and what are these books? What are
Right.
you talking about? So I sat down and I researched what the word ancient means, and ancient is actually anything that's greater than 1,500 years of our
Okay.
current timeline. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Gives me somewhere to start. So I just started looking up books that was prior to that, and I started reading all of these different texts that came up before or prior to 1,500 years. So not just books such as the Christian Bible, but
hmm
the Upanishads and the Vedas, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Torah. There are a lot of different books out there, the I Ching. There are a lot of different books out there that predate I would say our modern understanding
hmm
of spirituality and science, but still proliferates through our lives. Still
Okay.
very present. So fast forward. So this is like me as a kid.
hmm
So fast forward, around the age of 21, I decided to join the military. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Knew that I wanted to be a scientist, and just kind of fell into the medical laboratory field. It honestly
Okay.
just happened. And I did that my duration in the army. But while I was doing that, I started falling more in love with meditation. And
hmm
the reason why was directly before I joined the military, I had really, really bad crippling anxiety. I had agoraphobia. I was, just afraid of going outside. For those who don't know what that is, I
hmm
would go outside and just have these really bad panic attacks. You can't do that when you go to the military.
Is it right? I was gonna say, like, and how did we look, did you know about that before you went into the military?
I did, yes. I
Okay.
actually, one of the reasons I went to the military, I was extremely depressed.
Okay.
And I knew that if I didn't join or if I didn't leave home, I was going to do something drastic. And I
Mhm.
just, wanted to help myself, protect myself, and I wanted to grow.
Yeah.
And the best way I could do that was to leave. But how do you do that without money?
Right.
Without connections, without knowing anybody. So that's honestly the best choice that I could have made at the time. And when people ask me, would I do it all over again? Yeah. You
Hmm.
know, did the military suck? It did. But, it made me the person that I am and it helped me to grow
Yeah.
into, this businessman, this entrepreneur, you know. And the military is also where I gained the values and the ability to speak in front of a group of people. They kind of beat that out of you literally.
Oh, okay.
You
So
learn how to talk.
I didn't
So
know that.
yeah, and to stand up and I mean, I remember the first time someone handed me a packet and said, "You present in 30 minutes." And it was yeah, it was ridiculous. And it was a room full of, officials. So
Wow.
like, what do you want me to say? Read it. It was crazy. So, I got really into meditation and
Mhm.
trying to figure out what that was, grow in that area. And when I start to get more healed with myself and start to realize that I don't have to be the person that I was.
Hmm.
And the first couple years in the military, really the first half of the 20s, I think that's just early 20s though. I was a drinker, partier, fighter, did all these crazy things.
Hmm.
Decided I didn't want that anymore. So the year before I left, I finished up my degree in laboratory sciences and left the service, decided I wanted another degree and got a degree in biochemistry
Okay.
and that my intention was to go to get a PhD in neuroscience. It was either neuroscience or biochemical engineering. But the way I describe it is it was only but a voice. I was
Hmm.
sitting in my apartment and I was about to hit submit on the application for graduate school. Had everything ready, everything in place. I was ready to go. And I hear a voice in my head that says, "You could do this. You could go to graduate school. You can be a benefit to the world and society." And teach people teach people about the pineal gland is what I want to study and
Hmm.
teach people about the hormones that are produced in our minds and throughout our bodies that allow us to dream, that allow us to hallucinate, that allow us to connect with source and to God. Or you could show people how you went from being angry, depressed, and sad into a strong, healthy, happy man. So I decided to do that, because there's there's so many people that I've met and just throughout my life, just talking and expressing the things that I've gone through. I've
Hmm.
had people pull me to the side and say, "What you said touched me. What you said moved me." I've had people who were contemplating suicide pull me to
Yeah.
the side and say, "I didn't know that about you, and I was going to do X, Y, Z. Thank you for that." And
Hmm.
obviously, I helped them further because that's a very serious situation.
Of course.
But I appreciate that and I want to be able to help people. And if I can just help a few people that way, what can I do if I truly put myself out there?
Yeah.
So I started a business called Chocolate Wonders, chocolatewonders.com. And I had no idea what that was going to look like.
Okay.
And I just knew that I wanted to start something. I was very into chakras. And the reason why I delved deeply into chakras specifically has to do with my background in science,
Hmm.
because the chakra system is all about energy centers. The chakra literally means wheel, and it's a wheel of spiraling energy. And when
Hmm.
we look at everything in existence, everything is energy. And when you zoom into things, we're just a mass of particles, and those particles are literally just vibrating energy. Everything vibrates, everything moves. So that's why I started diving very deeply into the chakras and the energetic systems. So Chakra Wonder is my website. What we do there anyway is we sell products and accessories related to like metaphysics, astrology, spirituality. This is where Tay got the socks from. But we have so many other things there. That's not how it started. I actually had other things on there like bracelets and crystals, and I didn't know what to do. Like, how
Hmm.
do you become an entrepreneur? How do you become a CEO?
Right.
There nobody teaches you these things. And that in itself is just stressful.
Right.
So I was just like, okay, what do I do? So I just I mean, I built the website by myself.
Hmm.
You know, I before this, I was not the best artist, so I had to teach myself graphic design.
Okay.
And I taught myself not coding, but I can definitely read lines of code now. And I just start growing in that arena, pushing forward.
Hmm.
Well, fast forward, I would say 2 years, 2 or 3 years, while that's going on, I really want to speak with people. I want to talk, and I just enjoy it. But I was terrified. I did not speak very eloquently. I always stumbled under my words. I still do it, but whatever.
Hmm.
And I
Part
had
of
a lot
life.
of right, you know, and I had a lot of filler words. And one of my friends, she said that you should just start a TikTok. And I was terrified of doing that. Just putting myself in front of the camera, truly putting myself out there. And she was like, it doesn't have to be your main outlet, but that would be a really good way for you to get comfortable being behind the camera.
Hmm.
So I did that for several months. And then shortly thereafter, I did my first podcast. And I was just a guest on other people's shows. And
Hmm.
that was just in itself, that was crazy. I thought that I did terribly my first couple of shows, but apparently people loved it. And I was just like, oh, okay, great. So eventually I built up to creating my own show, which is called Vegan
Hmm.
Soup. And Tay's been on there. You guys should check out her episode. It's very wonderful, very beautiful. People love your episode, by the way. And we talk about metaphysics, spirituality, alternative medicine, holistics, and science. And not everybody that I have on the show is a holistic or alternative medicine practitioner. I've had different scientists on there.
Okay.
Um, I've had psychics on there. I had one guy who came on who had no idea what metaphysics was. And he was actually I think he was a engineer, a student of engineering.
Okay.
Yeah, he was actually working on, he was in graduate school, I think, working on his degree. So, you know, we talk about things like that. And I just want to grow in that particular area. Mm. Our biggest goal right now is to, as you said earlier, build a holistic and naturopathic resort that
Hmm.
people can come to have a sense of unity, but also have fun in the holistic space. And the reason why we call it a resort and not a retreat is because there are plenty of retreats out there. I want
Hmm.
you to come and I really want you to have a good time. I want you to get some healing. When you
Yeah.
think resort, you think more R&R, and you think activities. You think that there's gonna be nice food, a good restaurant, and things like that. So that's
Hmm.
what we're working on, and we're making some really good headway with it.
That is amazing. I just want to literally, like, I just want to say, like, when I read your mission about what it was that you were building, I was like, I can't wait for this place to open up because I really want to come and like you said, you think R&R when you think resort, and that's really what I'm like. Yeah, I need a little bit of that. Like, what does that look like? So I'm excited for this mission, by the way. Fully supported 100%.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. It's gonna be great. And when we do finally have it built, hopefully we can break ground next year. Everybody, if you want to support, reach out to me. Where our goal is to break ground next year.
Awesome.
And I truly feel like this is gonna be the resort that people need. I think this is the type of resort that the world is really looking for. Something that connects us to the wisdom of the ancient past but
Hmm.
combines our modern technology. You know, I know we talk a lot. I know on your show we talk a lot about growth and what that looks like. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of times I think people want to have this defined idea of what the end is going to look like.
Hmm.
You know, that's not what growth is. That's the end of the journey. That's the destination.
Right.
And we all have heard the saying, like, it's not about the destination, it's the journey.
Hmm.
Starting off in the beginning, like I said, I had no idea what I was doing, didn't know what this looked like. My background is literally in like biological sciences. So
Hmm.
how do you take that and then move into the spiritual space? But then I just
Right.
started to learn that our biology is so deeply intertwined with spirituality. You can't have one without the other. You
Exactly.
know, in meditation, you have to learn to slow your breathing. You have to, if you want to meditate properly and effectively,
Hmm.
you have to learn about pranayama. You have to learn about how to physically move energy
Hmm.
through your body. You learn about the meridians, the energy centers. And you learn that the meridians are really just all the blood vessels that are in your body. And a lot of times, what happens with people, especially if you're stagnant or a lethargic individual, your blood flow isn't there. And that's why you start having coldness in your body. You start
Mm-hmm.
having numbness in your body. You need to be able to get the blood to flow. But all of that starts with the breath. It all starts with taking a really solid deep breath and breathing in through your diaphragm and
Mm-hmm.
having a full, what they call the yogic breath.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that because I feel like you said, there's a lot of people out there who, where right now we're just seeing like it's almost funny. It's almost like we're just seeing people who are getting into like yoga and breath work and meditation. But in real life, this stuff has been around for a very, very long time. And it's just now that people are really understanding that it really is about the whole self and not just our physical bodies. I think that's something that we're actually realizing now. But I wanted to kind of go back because I didn't realize how similar our story is.
Oh,
In the sense that we have these moments in our like these pivotal moments in our life where we're like, this is where I'm going to make a change. This is what's going to happen. I specifically have one that was kind of like yours, where I was working for the prosecutor's office and thought, oh, well, I could, I had this moment where I was like, I can stay here and be unhappy. Or I can go and quit my job, do my business full time, see what it's like. And if I need to, I still have something to fall back on. Right. And you were like, no, I have two paths and this one sounds great. Now, my question for you is when you had that moment and then you were like, yep, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go teach people, how they can really change their lives. What did that feel like for you?
ooh, it felt. I would have the first thought that came to mind was scary, honestly,
Yeah.
because in our culture, we're taught that we have to work a 9 to 5 our entire lives.
Yes.
We're taught that we have to just physically work so hard. And don't get me wrong, being an entrepreneur is 10 times more difficult
Hmm.
than working a 9 to 5. So, like the hours are longer, trust me.
Hmm.
At least right now. But yeah, so it was a bit nerve-wracking. I actually called my dad. I don't know if it's the same day, maybe a day or so later. But I called my dad, and he was the first person I told that I wasn't going to go to graduate school, and that had been the plan since I was a kid. And I was just like, I don't think this is what I'm going to do. And I told him why, the full story, and he was all for
Hmm.
it. He said that's great. He actually he laughed. It was like I'm happy you came to that realization before you got to grad school and decided you didn't want to do it. And
Hmm.
then we went to this whole like conversation about academia and how it's just like, without going too far into it, how it just like sucks up money. And we're just like, obviously you have to pay for school, but why is it so expensive?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I completely understand. Like I think about I have a bachelor's degree and an associate's degree. And even though like I'm doing this podcast now and I do transformational and spiritual coaching, I still have a day job. And I get to use both of the degrees I have, but those aren't the degrees that wasn't the job that I wanted to start in. But it's like if I knew what I knew then, like of course I would do the same path again because it ended me here. But at the same time, it's like, would I have really gone to school if I knew I could be doing exactly what I'm doing now?
Right. Yeah, let me tell you. So a lot of people don't know this. When I went back to school to get my bachelor's degree in
Hmm.
biochem after the military, I only went because the military paid for it.
Hmm.
Because by that time I was already, so my job, my day job anyway, hasn't changed. So I work at the hospital not as often as I used to because
Hmm.
I have the businesses. But working at the hospital, I didn't need the biochem degree to do that because I already had the experience. I'd already been doing it for years.
Right.
I literally went back to school because I wanted time to figure out my life. I wanted time to see if there was a different direction to go into.
Hmm.
And I've always been a trust in spirit, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
So I figured if something was going to change, if something was going to happen, it would make itself known to me when the time was right. You know, and get the military paper. I simply would not. Yeah, I would not have gone. And when I say paper, yeah,
Fair
they pay
enough.
for tuition,
Hmm.
books. They give you a stipend every month. So if anything positive really came out of it, I guess it was
Yeah. And
that.
I mean, you think about it, you still get the life experience. Like you said, you had time to really think about what you wanted to do and what that was going to look like. And it definitely still put you on the path where you are today. So I wonder how that reflects into your work when you're working with people and helping people with, what you do. How does, that experience play into your coaching?
Yeah, for sure. So when I was in the service, I actually had to help a lot of other soldiers. I wasn't a sergeant; I was a specialist E4, but I had a lot of soldiers whom I had to guide and, in a sense, kind of mentor. And
Mm-hmm.
it teaches you how to really work with other adults and help guide them through their situations and their problems. Also, being in the service, you're really taught how to not panic and
Mm-hmm.
how to take control of a situation. So when I'm working with people currently, it's a lot easier for me to sit down and listen to their struggles, trials, and tribulations without being affected,
Mm-hmm.
and still being able to rationalize a coherent thought and to give some, strong positive advice that I think is going to help them. And thus far, it's been working. It's been pretty good. But I don't think that had I not gone through the service, I don't think I would have that level of confidence to be able to sit down,
Mm-hmm.
one on one with people, or even a group of people, because I have no problem stepping up into a classroom and on the stage and
Mm-hmm.
talking to 10 or 1,000 people. That just doesn't bother me.
Right.
But I would not have had that level of confidence had I not gone through the service.
That's awesome. And when it comes down to it, like because we've been talking about, change and like, you sound like you've had a lot of change and pivotal moments in your life. For the people out there who are like really looking for a change right now, or they're just like, I really don't know where I should go. What are some things that you suggest for people to do? Because I know that, even in the spiritual realm, and where we are when it comes to things, some people are like, yeah, just go out and do it. Some people are like, listen to your inner voice. And there are some people who are like, what if I don't have an inner voice? Like, so like when you're like all when you're encompassing everyone who like doesn't understand the spiritual, understands what change is, what it looks like, but not what their change is supposed to look like. How do you guide somebody through that process?
Yeah, for sure. So what I do, because I do work with a lot of people whom will say something like that, like I don't have the inner voice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I want. How do I go out there and do something? You just say go do it. How do I do that if I don't know?
Right.
So what I tell people is to literally make a list, sit down and write down the things that you like. Don't overcomplicate it. Just write what you like. What do you like to do? What foods do you like? Do you like to read? Do you like to go outside? I even encountered people who say things like, well, I don't know what I like. That's
Mm-hmm.
perfectly fine. What do you not like?
Is it? I never thought about.
Because that's just as important, right? Because
Yeah.
if you know what you don't like, it helps you to narrow down the things that you do like. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't like salty food, maybe you like sweet food, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and or perhaps you like more savory food. Like we can start to narrow down the things you like based off of what you don't like. If you don't like this particular group of people, what
Mm-hmm.
about those people? What about that situation did you not like specifically? And
Right.
can we work around that? Can we find something that's either in that you did care for, or something that's opposite to that we can work with and go in that direction? So it's
Mm-hmm.
really important to take both sides of that equation.
I think that is a wonderful way of putting that. It's so funny because I think that when it comes down to it, I know when I was in the car, I was like, oh, I have so many things that I want to ask you. Um, but I just knew this conversation was going to flow so well because it goes right into what I wanted to talk to you about. But it's so interesting because we think a lot of the times when we're going through like our healing journey and we're like looking at changes and things like that, we always tend to focus on like, well, what is it that we want? Because in real life, that's kind of where we're like led when it comes to like self-help books and podcasts and things like that. It's like, where do you want to go? But I love the fact that you're like, you have no idea. Wonderful. Where don't you want to go?
Yeah.
Like, what does that other side look like though? You're like, we're avoiding that completely.
Yeah. If you don't want to go left, we can go right. You
Yeah,
know?
I love
'Cause
that.
there's no wrong answer.
Hmm.
People think that they're like, I'm gonna get out there. What if I mess up? They mess up because the only person that's gonna judge you is you.
Yep.
It's perfectly fine. Let me tell you, the amount of times I've messed up is great. Or rather,
Same.
yeah, what do they say? You fall uphill.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think about it like when I went to college, um, my degree is in psychology, but when I started, my degree was biochem pre-med because I wanted to be an OBGYN. And literally, like somewhere in the like beginning, I was like, this probably is not going to be the best for me. I took a psychology class and I was like, oh, I really like this. And then I took more chemistry classes and failed them. And I was like, oh crap, like, what am I going to do? But I was like, you know what? We're going to pivot. We're going to go into psychology because that's actually something that interests me. And I think sometimes people forget that even though you fall, you're not falling to a stop. Like you're literally just falling into another place. And sometimes we don't know where that place is going to lead us, but then it leads us almost exactly where we need to be. If you think about like the way that the universe works, like it really puts us right where we need to be, even if we didn't think that we were supposed to be there.
Yeah, 100%. That's what synchronicities are.
Hmm.
There are no coincidences. Nothing happens to you, everything happens for you. There's nothing that you will be given, nothing that you're going to be presented with that you can't handle. All it does is build your level of resiliency. And you might not be able to see that in the moment,
Hmm.
but pretty much everything you've gone through at some point in time, you're going to be able to look back at it and almost laugh and then realize that that was crazy. But because I got through that, I know I can do
Hmm.
this. So,
Absolutely.
it just makes you stronger. It's so powerful and it's so great. One of the sayings that I had for a while, I should put this on like a t-shirt or something, but it's though I may trip and stumble, I'll never fall.
Hmm.
Because falling, that's almost like failure, like you're gonna hit the ground. You didn't actually fail, you just learned a lesson and that's okay.
Hmm. Exactly. That is so good. I love that. And it's true. Like you think about all of the things, like I was just thinking today, like no matter what happens with us as people, we were really sent here to learn. And because we're human, we're going to make mistakes. And I think sometimes that's hard for us to understand when we're put into a world where everything has to be perfect or everything happens instantly and things like that. So it's like, how do you help others? And also, how did you help yourself really see that the choices that you made in life were exactly what you needed? Not they may not have been what you wanted at the time, but when you look back and reflect, you're like, you know what, my life had to go this way.
Yeah, so for me, I got chills when you said that. For me, it really took me, it's a lot of research, honestly, but it took me redefining what a want is, right?
Okay.
So imagine that you're the deity, you're the God, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody came up to you and said, I I want to know love. I want to feel love. The best way to actually teach somebody what love truly is to really give them the opposite of it and then throw some love in their face. Because when
Mm.
you feel down and out in turmoil, a smile can lift your entire day, and that's love. When you feel, you know, hurt, you just need a hug, that's love. But when people ask for love, the first thing that really goes to people's mind is this is when you gotta be careful what you ask for. But what goes through people's mind is eros love. They want a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
They want something physical. That's not love. A lot of times that's lust. And and there's nothing wrong with that either. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
So we all have needs. You know what I mean? But honestly, it's okay to go through those particular trials and tribulations. And you have to be able to reconcile the fact that when you ask for something, when you talk about something that you want, you're going to be, when you get it, it might not come to you the way that you thought you're going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because what you really want isn't the thing. You want the lesson, and you're looking for the experience as a human, right?
Right.
As a soul, as a spirit. We're looking to have that lesson and that experience. So you're going to get those. So me going from wanting to be an entrepreneur, I have a whole nother thing I want to talk about too, but
Mm-hmm.
me saying that I want to be an entrepreneur means going through the trials and tribulations of becoming an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
But then there comes a point to where, do I still want this or am I this thing? Do I still want love or have I achieved love? Because nobody can define that but you.
Mm-hmm.
You can spend your entire life becoming and spend your entire life searching. The fact of the matter is, any and everything you've ever wanted exists right here and now. The only thing that changed is your awareness of how much was there. And it's all there. You're just awareness and privy to it. I want to be an entrepreneur. No, I am an entrepreneur. you
Mm-hmm.
know, I want love. No, I am love.
Mm.
Like, I give love. I love everybody and everybody loves me in their own way. So, and that's okay. You gotta love some people from afar though.
Truth. You know what? Thank you so much for sharing that. Literally, like everybody out there can't see it, but I'm sure you could see it. Like you were talking, and I was just like leaning in because I was just like gravitating towards your words and what you were saying because it feels like that resonates with me so, so much. I talk to people a lot about, where I've been, the changes that I've gone through, and where I am now. And I always tell people the one thing that I've come to realize within the last year and a half or so, and even more so, but more so like now I'm embracing it, is that I am love. And I think that that shifted my perspective on people and how I interact with them. And like you said, I keep those that I need to at arm's length, or even further, right? But it really is about putting out there what it is that you're looking for and being that person and knowing that you are that person for the things that you are desiring, whether it be love, whether it be an entrepreneur. And I think that's really good for my audience to hear because a lot of times we're so stuck in this like, well, I haven't done this yet. I haven't done that yet. How can I achieve this? And yada, 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 yada. Is it, do you think the person who decided, hey, I'm going to make a blanket out of yarn was like, oh, snap, I really don't know what I'm doing? Like, no, they just did it. And then they were like, ooh, this is warm, right?
Right. And
And
it's
then they're like,
trial and error. You know what I
right.
mean? It. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I've been with my own self in business lately. I'm like, oh my God, I, I have to get started building a resort. Okay, how do I
Mm-hmm.
do that? I don't know how to do this. And I remind myself that every really, really successful businessman, oligarch, philanthropist, most of them dudes start in their garage.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I mean? They literally started in their mother's garages.
Yep.
You have people who, I was reading a story the other day talking about Oprah and how when Oprah was like 22, 23, she got fired.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she was working like a radio station or something like that. She gets fired. And it was like, can you imagine firing Oprah? And the lady was like, yeah, because Oprah was nothing back then.
Yep.
Oprah wasn't Oprah. Like, she wasn't
Mm-hmm.
Oprah Winfrey. She was just some girl. You know,
Right.
when you look at people like Jeff Bezos, remember Amazon started with this man selling books.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that whole thing started. And
Yeah.
then he grew it to this, multi-billion dollar, almost $1 trillion company.
Yeah.
Same thing with Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Cuban and
Mm-hmm.
Jay-Z, Beyonce. Gotta
Right.
throw
No,
some other celebrities in
absolutely.
there.
Some
You
people are
know,
listening to this. They're like, "Who are these people?"
who
Oh,
are yeah.
Beyonce. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Yes. Hmm.
Right. And then if you really, really dive into Beyonce's story, I don't know how the age group of your I'm already
Hmm.
aging myself right now, but she started with Destiny's Child and they
Hmm.
actually kept running through some of the girls
Oh yes.
because yeah, you
I was
remember?
just reading that because it was so funny because I was like they were like they've always had four members,
Mhm.
but like for some reason in my brain I couldn't remember who the fourth member was.
Yep.
Who, by the way, they changed out a couple of times. Like
Yep.
this person was in what was it? We were watching Vivo and listening to like summer hits, right? And this was just Memorial Day weekend and I was watching Bills, and there were like all these girls, and then I recognized three of them, and I was like, "Who is this chick?" And they're like, "Oh, that's the original, like one of the original members," and I was like, "Who is she?" Like, I don't know her, but I think you think about when people think about Destiny's Child, do they remember these other, these two other people who were the fourth
Mhm.
member, or do they just remember Beyonce, Kelly, and Michelle, right?
Those are the other ones I remember. I know that there's a fourth.
There's two, look, there's two other fourths, okay? Like, and then like you find out like at a certain point they like just then it just went down to three. And I was like, I didn't I didn't know that.
Yeah,
And it's
and then
like
right
even though
after Beyonce becomes Beyonce.
right, right. Well, and I mean, it's just like you think the same way with like Justin Timberlake.
Mhm.
It's like he was in NSYNC. Everybody knows NSYNC. But it's like Justin Timberlake was the only one like, hey, yeah, we're gonna go out and do the things. And you're
Mhm.
like, oh, like I love Backstreet Boys back then, but I can't tell you any of those people who were like, yeah, let's go ahead and just like continue on this career and do the things, right? So it's very interesting. I'm glad you brought that up because I think a lot of times I know with like I was looking at the stats for my age range just today, and it said that it was like between 35 and 44. And I think that when we think about change and pivoting and all of this stuff, we think like, oh, well, we have to be a young buck. We have to be like 28, 29. We have to be like, just out of college to really turn our lives around. What do besides, of course, our Oprah Winfrey example, who I think she didn't start her show until she was like 40, right?
Mhm.
Like what do you say to these people where they're like, well, I can't do that. I'm too old.
Age ain't nothing but a number.
Hey.
Because you truly are as old as you feel.
Agreed.
If you feel like you're 50, then you're 50. Like I'm not gonna argue with you.
Hmm.
If you feel like you're stuck, then you're stuck. One thing is that you can't help anybody that doesn't want to be helped.
Ooh.
So when it comes to coaching, when it comes to spiritual, metaphysical advice, I don't go around giving out unsolicited information.
Agreed.
So, so typically people, when they come up to me, they already have their questions,
Hmm.
or I'm talking to somebody else and they start chiming in. So I don't really have that be an issue, I would
Hmm.
say, with someone saying that I'm older and XYZ, blah, blah, blah. Because typically when somebody walks into that conversation, they step up to that table, they're already in that mindset that they want to change. And it didn't matter to them how old they were. And it's funny what you say about looking at the stats because I also looked at my stats today and I never do that. And it's the same. I looked at my stats because I was sending a proposal to somebody.
Okay.
I'm trying to get my show put on Gaia.
Yes.
Yeah, pray for me, guys. But yeah, and I looked at the stats. It's the same. My stats are between 35, mostly 35 and 45, up
Hmm.
to 55
Yeah.
you know? And I've learned that actually I had a lady on my show and I asked her about it. I think she had her PhD in like behavioral psychology or something like that. And I was talking to her about my age group, my demographic. I was like, why do you think it's honestly typically older women who are interested in this information? And she said that, well, for one, women tend to be more intuitive than men. So when it comes to something that has to do with the esoteric, that has to do with the spirit, the soul, women are more apt to hear it, and that's changing in our society.
It is.
Are in our society a lot more men are, not to be cliche, but are waking up,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But the other side of that is once you hit a certain age, you've tried everything. You've gone through the gambit. You've tried a lot of what Western medicine has to offer. You probably dipped your toes in some type of holistic,
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh, methodology. And so when somebody comes up with something a little bit new that you haven't heard and it resonates with you, you tend to listen a little bit more because you
Mm-hmm.
know the other stuff didn't work for you. But you don't really get to that point until you hit your 30s, where
Mm-hmm.
I've tried everything else. I'm tired, and you not just tried it, you're tired.
Yes.
You know, I am tired of going through this BS.
Mm-hmm.
What else is out there? So you got somebody that's walking up to you and saying something that resonates to the point where, oh, so you were angry and depressed and you're not now? Tell me about that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that's why for a long time I didn't tell people that I was in the military. Not that I was ashamed, I just didn't think it was relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But someone brought up the fact, it was another lady I had on my show. So I didn't know that about you. I didn't know you were in the service. And I was like, yeah, I don't really talk about it. She's like, why? Because that'll help show people that you have more depth to your background.
Mm-hmm.
Because imagine those same individuals who went through some type of traumatic event and whether they were in war or something like that,
Right.
you can approach them from that perspective. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I guess I never really thought about it. But yeah, that's really what it is. You
Yeah.
get to a certain point in your life and you're done and you're willing to try something else. And it does tend to happen in your 30s.
Yeah. No, I will definitely attest to that as, I've been I've been on my healing journey for many years now, probably a good 6 years at this point. And it didn't really hit me until like almost a year and a half ago, the trajectory that I really wanted my life to go. And I was like, all right, we got to make some changes. And it wasn't like a huge overhaul. It wasn't like I sold my house and moved to the Bahamas or anything like that. Like I still have to have my day job and the things, right? And also I have to figure out how to get my cats there. But it was just like I just need to change. I feel like I need to change this one thing, and I feel like it'll make big impact. And for a lot of people, that's all that matters. That's all you need is just that one change. Whether you feel like you know what it is right now, or whether you feel like you're not going to get it until, later or whatever, there's still always going to be that one thing. Like, just like that is the one thing where, like you said, they get so sick, they get so tired that they're just like, okay, what is it that I keep doing that is continuously putting me on this path? What is that so I can change it? And I think that's really important for people to know.
I really want to dive into that because I think that's very important and very powerful because you have a lot of people who are just like, I don't know what to change. It seriously doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Change something. I don't care what it is because what we're changing isn't the behavior itself. What we're
Mm-hmm.
actually changing is the commitment, and we're creating a new habit for you. So I don't care what you change.
I am so sorry, but say that again. You are not changing the behavior, you are changing the commitment. Look,
Right?
sorry about that enthusiasm, guys, but dude, like seriously,
Write that
look,
down.
I'm afraid as to what that's going to sound like on the mic, so apologies for your ears. But yo, like that is a whole word. Like that is a
Yeah.
whole word.
So and with that, what happens is people will say that, well, I can't change. I've tried it before. I'm like, no, that's not what happened. What happened is you gave up on yourself before. So what you really started, you start proving to yourself time and time again that you're not going to keep your word to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times what we'll do is we'll keep our word to others. We're nice to others. We say nice things to others, but we don't
Mm-hmm.
give ourselves that same amount of love, but we also don't give ourselves that same amount of grace. You
Oh,
know, a
yeah.
lot of times, and I talk to people who have like addictions and stuff like that. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with having a relapse. And people are like, oh my God, don't say that. No, seriously, it's okay. Because what happens is that when you have a relapse, oftentimes it shows you what you don't want. And it also shows you how much you've grown. It's just like, okay, for instance, for someone who's been drinking for, years, but then you stop drinking, but you go back and have a drink, you might feel down on yourself, but remember, you just stopped drinking for years. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have that one drink, okay, have that one. Don't beat yourself up about it, and then put it back down and keep it moving. You know what I mean? Because you didn't mess up. It's okay. It's life. It's a cycle, and it's gonna be all right. But you're creating those habits within yourself, and you're teaching yourself to trust yourself.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that so much. And I'm sorry I'm getting emotional. Look, my people already know this. Look, 3 episodes in, and I've been emotional on each one. But that resonates so, so well. Because when I started my journey, I did tell you, like, I've been a year and a half. I haven't, I stopped drinking. And 8 months into my journey, like, I had this big commitment to myself, and it was so huge. Like, I don't think anybody understood what that looked like. And I don't think I did until I was accidentally given a drink when I was out at dinner. And when I tell you, I bawled like a baby and I sulked for 12 hours on the fact that I was given a drink that my goal of doing a year without alcohol was ruined. Like, all of this, like, I was so down on myself because I didn't realize how big of a commitment it was for me. And I had talked to a friend who wanted me to come to their wedding, and they were like, "Oh, well, you have to have a drink with me." And I was like, "No, I don't." I said, because I cried when I was accidentally given a drink. I said, this commitment is so important to me. It doesn't matter about everybody else. This was so important to me. And I felt like I let myself down. And it really took my friends to be like, Tay, did you intentionally order this drink? Is that what you wanted? Like, was that what you had asked for? And I was like, well, no. And they were like, did you go back and get another one? And I was like, no. They were like, did you decide that you were going to go on a bender now and continue drinking after that? And I was like, well, no. And they were like, give yourself grace. It wasn't something you did on purpose. It wasn't something that you intended to do. They were like, give yourself grace and just continue on with your journey. And that helped me to be more patient with myself. That helped me to give myself grace, which are the things that you're talking about that we give to other people when they mess up, right? Or when something goes awry in that area. We do it for them, but at what point do we actually sit down and say, hey, you're doing good today? That was just a blip. We can start over tomorrow. And I think that is so important when it comes to change, when it comes to habits, when it comes to commitments. Like, give yourself grace. Ah, Dexter, you touch my soul in so many ways. I feel like this is like the same thing that happened when I was on your podcast. Like, we were both
It
just
is,
like,
when
oh,
when you and I were talking, I think that was last week. We were talking for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So
yes.
like we should have recorded that.
Oh my gosh, because that could have been a podcast in itself. Like, just everything that we talked about. I think that it's really, it's again, it's very nice that we have met each other and that we have connected in this way, because like one of the things that I've been searching for, and what I've been wanting, are people who are like me, people who are like-minded and open-minded about the universe and people, and really understand that love is love. That the things that we want, we should also give. And I think that having those people in my circle, in my tribe, like, I'm just like, I need to find those people. And over time, I've been able to do that. So I'm super happy to just have you in my circle, because literally this, I swear we had this talk last week, and like literally this week I have been on it, like doing my things, like getting things done, because I'm like, he's right. Like, we put so much pressure on ourselves to do things, to, change something. And at the end of the day, if we fail, we're like, well, crap, like now I have to not do it ever again. And that's not the reality. We just have to keep moving, like, keep moving, keep going, because you never know how that commitment for yourself is going to show up in the things around you and the people around you. And that is so, So very important.
Yeah. And what I want to dive into with that is really when you start talking to yourself and that internal dialogue is really important to talk to yourself like you're talking to your inner child, because you would not be that harsh to a kid.
Yeah.
So why on God are you that harsh to yourself? you know. And when I have a journal that I give people, especially when I take them through coaching and healing. It's called advertising. Shadow work or journal to shed light on my inner child. Check it on
Mm-hmm.
chakrowonders.com. But seriously, if you go through it, my journal prompts are all about addressing the inner child. And it really goes back to actually let me just open up one and just like read it.
Okay, look, because I see, look, first of all, I was looking through the website because I was like, ooh, let me see what they got on here. And I was like, oh, there is a shadow work journal here.
Yeah.
I've been thinking now that we're talking about it, I'm gonna go on there and order me one. So look, go ahead and tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, for sure. So I just opened up to a random page. I promise it was random.
Okay. Look, I watched them, guys. I watched them.
And this one says self-reflection. Our own self-image reflects our outlook upon the world. What are three flaws about myself that I'm embarrassed about? When did I first start recognizing these flaws within myself? Why, if I asked a close friend or loved one, would they also see these flaws? And how have these flaws made me stronger? Yeah. So, and a lot of the prompts in the journal are like that. One, they're self-addressed, so that's why it's always me,
Mm-hmm.
I, stuff like that. But when it's really about the reason I wrote this one specifically about self-reflection and looking at yourself, we all have these things that we tend to not like about ourselves, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really about why do we not like them, you know? And I've actually done this is a great exercise, honestly. Go up to a trusted friend, a loved one, and kind of be vulnerable with them and say, ask them what they think your flaws are, and then
Ooh.
ask them what they think your strengths are. But before you do that, write your own flaws and strengths down. And then share, after they tell you, share what you wrote down to them and then get their interpretation. I guarantee you the things that you thought were flaws are most likely like nothing to them. They think that they're strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that they think are your flaws is usually some stuff where it's just like, huh, never thought about that. You're right.
Oh my gosh. Look, you're sitting here, I'm like, ooh, I'm about to go do this exercise. Look,
Yeah.
I got a couple of days. I'm gonna do this exercise. Because I mean, you're right. It really is, it's gonna end up different than
Yeah.
what you really think of yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very interesting, yeah. See, look, now I'm gonna take that. And now I'm gonna go online and look, I'm gonna go to chakrawonders.com and I'm gonna go ahead and get me this journal because now I'm
Right.
like, ooh, I need more journal prompts. I like
Yeah, it's
it.
pretty great. So I actually had a couple, and they asked if they should do the journals together. Now that if you guys feel comfortable with it, I highly recommend. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, you could actually, and when I say together, you can share the information with each other, or you can just do it together in the same room. And if you feel like you want to share, then share. But obviously, when you do things like this, never push your partner to share something they don't feel comfortable sharing with. And
Absolutely.
if you want a mediator, feel free to reach out and I'll gladly go through each and every prompt with you.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a course on that as well. But it's very, very healthy and very cathartic because what this does, first of all, the journal is designed, like I said, for you to reach your inner child.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are open and willing to share that with somebody else, first of all, that's some amazing healing you've already done to be
Mm-hmm.
able to go and share that with someone. But it just offers a different perspective,
Yeah.
and it'll show you that the things that you thought were so drastic and dramatic and huge, hurtful, it's really not that big a deal. And as you start talking to someone, you can get out of your own head,
Mm-hmm.
and it really does just help you move past it. And it might not feel that way in the exact moment, but usually what people will report is they'll wake up like that next day, sometimes a week later, to be honest. And, you know, it's not bothering them anymore,
Mm-hmm.
or they're more confident.
Yeah.
You can recognize where your trials and tribulations come from. A lot of times in the journal, I prompt people with what, uh, why did I have this behavior? And is there a time in my life where I can recall my parent or guardian or an adult figure acting and responding in the same way? Because
Mhm.
typically we emulate our parental figures. It doesn't necessarily have to be a parent.
Yeah.
It can just be whatever guardian or whatever adult was around you because that's all we have. And we're
Right.
just reflections of them.
That is so awesome. I'm sitting here looking at time and I'm like, gosh, where did all the time go? We
I
need more
know.
time. So look, I feel like this is just a prompt to be like, so you're gonna come back on my show. We're gonna have more talks like this. Because I feel like these talks are so, so important. Like, and I thank you so much for your insight because really, like, I know that one person, even if it's just one person out there who heard this and was just like, God, he was just speaking to my soul. Like, I feel like that is a win. Like, I seriously feel like that's a win. And you spoke in my soul, so you've already won. So there we go. Look, so
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks.
that is it.
And one more thing I want to say about the journal that's on the website. I There is a way to get a physical copy, but I decided to make them into a downloadable PDF.
Okay.
And the reason why was to increase accessibility. And I really don't like the idea of gatekeeping information. So I will tell you this as the person that created it, download it, print it off, and share that with a friend. So,
Listen, do you know how I have a couple of journals where I'm like, oh, I worked on this and this helped me with this. And they're like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, you want a copy? Like, if I have it in digital form, I will send it to you.
yeah.
Because why? Why do I have it so you have it? Like, I feel like that's so important. I love this. I love this. So before we go into like the super, super ending where we like talk about what you are, doing with your business and what you're offering and everything. One of the things that I have decided to incorporate into my podcast is this thing called the Trinity. And mind you, Dexter did not know that this was coming. So this is a surprise for him. So what it is the first thing that we do is we share a brag. So basically, you get to brag on yourself, whatever you choose. It can be big, it can be small, whatever you want. You are going to basically just brag to the audience. So tell us something that you want to brag about today.
Ooh, can I have two?
Yes.
So,
Okay. Yes. Share, share, share.
like I said, I never look at my stats of who watched my show, who listened to it. And
Mm-hmm.
I only looked at one channel. So I didn't look at all of them cumulatively. I didn't do the math. Just on one channel, we got nearly 9,000 views last month.
Yay.
So,
Yes, that is awesome.
yeah, so that was really nice. And it's been going up. I would say since we started, it's gone up a few thousand like every month. So that's been pretty great.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the other thing that happened is, like I said, we're working on the resort. So actually directly after this, I'll be checking the email that I sent off this morning to see if I have my first investor.
Look, sending
And
all of the wonderful healing to that. Look, sending all of the positive energy because, oh, that is exciting.
yeah, yeah, she's one of those, and the real deal, guys.
It's,
So,
oh,
when they talk about like angel investors, this is what
oh my
this is.
goodness. Oh, that is so awesome. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, okay, okay. She's like, oh, yay. Okay, so then you're just gonna have to let me know what happens after that so I can
For
update the
sure.
people. All right. So then the second part of the Trinity is something that you are grateful for.
Ooh, I always want to say life, but that seems so cliche. So, um, honestly, I'll share this. I'm actually very, very grateful for my partner. We were having some issues a few months ago,
Mhm.
and it recently, I, you ever, for anyone that's ever fallen in love, and then you have your heart broken, but you fall right back in love with the same person. You
Mhm.
so I'm just very,
Same.
you know,
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, so I'm honestly just very, very, very grateful, you know, to have experienced love. For a very long time in my life, I didn't know really what love was. I didn't know what that felt like. And then, as we were talking earlier about having your heart broken, I was like, wow, I guess I did know what love. And then
Mm-hmm.
that same love came right back into my life, so I'm very grateful.
Oh, oh, look, I'm a romantic over here. I'm sorry. I'm just like it's so funny. My mom tells people, she used to tell people, she was like, yeah, my daughters just love love. There's four of us. And she was like, they love love. Like, whether they're in love, whether it's just love, like, they just love love. And like, we are literally like, definitely like, oh my God, that is so adorable. Shout out to your partner. Shout out to your partner. And then the final piece of the Trinity is something that you desire.
Ooh, desire. So I just got comfortable with this the other day because I think in our society it's frowned upon. I desire more wealth. And when I say I got comfortable with it, people say that you shouldn't covet money. Money is the root of all evil. That's all
Mm-hmm.
BS. That's this complete bull. And it's that mentality that's stopping you from being wealthy,
Oh.
you know? And I don't desire wealth because I simply just want a crap ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I desire wealth because I need that to do what I want to do. And I accept that in my life
Mm-hmm.
to be the CEO, to be the entrepreneur that I have to be insanely wealthy because
Yeah.
I'm building this resort
Mm-hmm.
and I'm building multiple resorts across the world. I plan on going international with it,
Yes.
but in order to do that, because I truly want to help people, those that want to be helped, those that need and desire guidance.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to I want to just provide the space.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that I'm going to save the world by any means or anything like that. I'm not some hero or like I don't view myself that way. But I do want to provide that space.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I desire the wealth to do it.
Hey, listen. And so it should be, okay? Because, oh, that is so great. You're just a beautiful human. I love it. Thank
Thanks.
you. Look, thank you.
I love your soul too. You have such a great light.
I thank you. I'm like, ah. I could just sit again, we could just sit here and talk. But again, that's technically the last thing that I have. So thank you. Look, thank you so much for doing the Trinity and sharing with us. Thank you for bragging on yourself and sharing your gratitude and sharing with us your desires. I think that's so important for people to hear because we're always in this world, like in this realm of you should be humble. And I think because of that, we shrink ourselves for a lot of the people around us. And I just don't want people to feel like they have to do that. So I appreciate you for doing that.
Humility and bragging are two different things.
I
So
agree.
when
I
somebody,
agree.
yeah, if you ask me, I'll tell you. But that
Hmm.
doesn't mean I go around flaunting my, my thoughts
Right.
and ideas.
Right. Right. No, absolutely. So, as we get off here, share with us some of the services that you provide, and then any promotions that you have going on right now.
Yeah, for sure. So the services I have are the um oh, brain fart.
It
When you
happens.
ask.
You're like, we're ending the show, right? No, I still have. Okay, never mind.
So I do have the shadow work coach mentorship. So what that is send me a DM and we can sign you up to be a part of my mentorship, my coaching. We just go through together the journal. I'll send you a free copy of the journal. It's actually a specialized copy with pictures. It's all signed and stuff, and I'll send you a copy of that. And we'll go through it. It's a 3-month, 90-day program.
Okay.
Um, so that's what we have going on right now. I also have the Chakra Wonders website, and if you go through Tay's link, that should hopefully will put into the description, you actually get I think it's a 10% discount off of either 10 or 15% discount off of your first two purchases, you know?
Hmm.
And if you sign up for the newsletter, I think you get a continuous 10% off or something like that.
Oh, that is,
So yeah.
yes.
And with Chakra Wonders, our online business, I also do custom design work. So, and I primarily do it for businesses and entrepreneurs, but I pretty much do it for anybody to ask. But I promote it for mostly for business entrepreneurs. So if you go
Hmm.
to the website and you see something, or rather you don't see anything that you like, feel free to reach out and we can get you something custom made just for you. Nobody else is gonna have it. And lastly, what I have, what did I say? Design studio, Chakra Wonders, coaching. Oh, lastly, check out Onion Soup. So, Onion Soup is my podcast where we
Yes.
dive deeply into metaphysics, spirituality, the esoteric, and it's similar to this, but also, I guess not. We really, we,
You're like, it is, but it isn't.
yeah,
No,
we
no.
really, we really dive pretty deeply into some of the various practices and aspects, and we have different people on. Like we have psychics. We
Hmm.
also have. I had my niece on, and somebody there are a lot of people that love that episode. She went in on women's rights. It was crazy.
Oh, that's
Also,
awesome.
yeah, she's also 10. So that was really, really good. But yeah, we have different people on that just talk about various things. And if you want to support us, last thing, if you want to support us with the resort, there is a donation link.
Awesome.
And I'll provide that to Tay and she can throw that into this description as well.
Yes, awesome sauce. And I'm so excited because you said that when I air, so the month that I air this episode, which I will go ahead and let you know, the proceeds for the auctions that I do for the Podcast Inspired Podcast, I will give that to Chakra Wonders as a donation to help with the building of the resort. I'm excited for this, by the way. Like, you just let me know when it's done because I'm just gonna be there. They're gonna be
Yeah.
like, "You came all the way from Ohio?" Yes, I did.
100% opening weekend.
Look, I don't know who else I'm bringing, but I'm bringing people. Like, just know. We all gonna be in there just being spiritual and all kinds of wonderfulness.
Ooh,
Oh,
I'm so excited
I am
already.
so excited for this. How can people get a hold of you? You did say that they can DM you, so I want to make sure that they have the different ways that they can contact you.
Yeah, for sure. So our Facebook is just Chakra Wonders, Chakra Wonders, Wonders. We also have a TikTok, which is, you know what? I'm pretty sure it's also Chakra Wonders. I should probably know these things. And my Instagram, right? My Instagram is also Chakra Wonders, so it's all Chakra Wonders, and we have all the things. The only thing that's different is our YouTube page, which
Mhm.
is Onion Soup 444, one word. And our podcast is Onion Soup as well, also found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's on our YouTube, Facebook, and E360 TV if anybody has that. And through
Awesome.
E360 TV, we actually play through Roku and stuff like that. So you can find us pretty much anywhere.
Oh, that is so awesome. Well, Dexter, thank you so much again. I know that I said that like so much during this, but I don't care because you are just amazing, honestly. Like, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your insight and really like seriously down the line, you're going to be back on the show because this is, I think it's wild that people get on podcasts sometimes and they're just like, oh, yeah, we have this time thing. And then I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
Where did the time go?
Every time. I do it every time.
Every time. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you all for listening. And as he said, if you guys need anything, if you want to hear more from him, go ahead and let him know. Send him some messages and definitely donate. I'm super excited to see where you go and so glad, so glad that we met.
So thank you, Tay, for having me. And thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode.
Absolutely. You have a good one.
You too.
Thank you for listening to Dear Tay, You Got This. If you liked this podcast episode and found it helpful, please subscribe today and share this episode with a friend. If you have any questions, comments, wins, or would like to be featured on this podcast, please call or text 330-552-7234 or email info@desirablephoenix.com. See you next week.